learners, it's Miss Clark. I'm so excited to be working with you again on another math story problem. We're going to follow our math story criteria for success to make sure that we are solving this problem correctly. First, I need to write my name and date. Awesome. Now that I have my name and date written, I'm going to go ahead and annotate the problem. I'm looking out to see where my parts are and where my whole is, if we know it. Dartmouth has 30 scholars. If they are in teams with 5 scholars on each team, how many teams does Dartmouth have? I'm not quite sure if I understood that. I'm going to go back as a good mathematician to reread the problem. Dartmouth has 30 scholars. Okay, so that sounds like it's telling me the total amount. Dartmouth has 30 scholars. I'm going to circle the numbers and underline the units. I know that this is my whole because this is the total amount of scholars they have. What happens to those scholars? Well, they're put into teams with 5 scholars on each team. How many teams does Dartmouth have? So there are 5 scholars on each team, but now I'm looking for the number of teams. Let me see if I can represent a part and whole number bond. I know that Dartmouth has this total of 30 scholars. And then, do I have just 2 parts like normal? Is 5 one of my parts and then the other part is how many teams? No, that wouldn't make sense because these 30 scholars are split out into different groups. I don't know how many parts I have because I don't know how many teams there are. But I do know from the problem that on each team there are 5 scholars. So I can start there. I'm going to just go ahead and represent each of the teams and label as I go. Watch me. This is going to be my first team. And I know that on this team, because on every team, there are 5 scholars. Let me go ahead and put 5 scholars in there. Notice I just quickly used tally marks. I didn't draw out circles and number every single scholar. That wouldn't be very efficient. Now that I have my first team made, I'm going to push myself to add a different label. Down here at the bottom, I'm going to add and label how many scholars I have represented total. That way I don't forget and I know when I have all 30 Dartmouth scholars represented. So right now, I have a total of just 5 scholars represented. I'm not done yet because there are still more scholars that need to be put onto a team. Let's make a second team. This is going to be my second team. Again, each team only has 5 scholars. Now, how many scholars have I put into teams? I put 5 more, so now I have a total of 10 Dartmouth scholars represented. I haven't represented all 30 scholars yet, so I need to keep going. Let me see, I've got to add 5 scholars in there. Oops, I forgot to add my label. I know I want to label what number team this is. This is team number 3. Now, how many scholars have I represented? 5, 10, 15, because I added 5 more. I only have 15 Dartmouth scholars represented, so I'm going to keep going. They need another team. Maybe this will be the last team that I add. We'll have to see. So I went from 15, added 5 more. I know 15 plus 5 is 20. So now I've put 20 different Dartmouth scholars on a team. And I'm still not done. So that must mean there's more than 4 teams. Let's keep going. This will be team number 5. And again, there are 5 scholars on each team. So let me add 5 more. Perfect. 20, 25. Now I've got 25 Dartmouth scholars, but I'm still not done. I don't have every Dartmouth scholar on a team yet. Let's add 1 more and see if this works. Here's my 6th team. How many scholars do I put on that team? You're right, I put 5 again. Every team has the same amount. I was at 25 scholars earlier, now I added 5 more, and I have 30. Perfect. I have represented the whole amount of Dartmouth scholars. All 30 of them are represented. Let me think about now if I know how many parts there are. How many different groups are there that come together to equal 30? Well, I can tell from my labels we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there must be 6 different parts that are coming together. 6 different parts that are coming together to make 30. Is each part 6? No, because each part only has 5 in it. So I'm going to label each of these parts as 5. If I were to add up all of these parts with 5 in each, I would get my total of 30. Now that I have my neat and labeled representation, we know we're going to go on to our number sentence. Let me think about how I can represent what I did in a number sentence. Well, it's like I said, we're doing 5. We added 5 more, and 5 more, and 5 more, and 5 more, and 5 more. So that's one way that I could show it in my number sentence. Let me do that now. I'm going to say 5 plus 5 plus 5 more plus 5 more plus 5 more, and again plus 5 more. That gave me my total of 30. I showed how I split 30 up into each of these different groups. Let's go through and add our part and whole labels. Part, 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 and this is the whole. So we know that's right. If we split up those 30 Dartmouth scholars into teams with 5 each, you will have a total of 6 different teams. So my answer is 6 teams. We can go back and double check. Does that answer actually answer our question? 6 teams. How many teams does Dartmouth have? 6 teams. Yeah, that answer makes sense for the problem. Some scholars might even have heard a little bit about this word called division. If some scholars know about division, like in 2nd grade or maybe even older grades, I'm wondering if they might be able to try a different number sentence. If you can think of a different number sentence that uses a different symbol, like 30 divided by 5 equals 6, you could also do that. But for now, in 1st grade, we can use this addition problem if we need to. Great, scholars, that was exciting solving this problem with you today. I know that next time you see a problem that's like this and asking you to split up a whole into different parts, that you're going to be able to add labels throughout your representation so that you don't make any mistakes. You guys have got it.